Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bullpen Show. I am your host and the commissioner of the MLB 2K24 Fantasy Baseball League, Thomas, coming to you live from our Atlanta, Georgia studio. We're gonna go ahead and dive right into it. We didn't have a baseball now this week, so we're gonna go ahead and get into the recap of last week nine's games. So the first game you had the Georgia Dominators, that's me, at 540, and the Wildcats, that's Tammy, at 471. The Dominators moved to 5-4. The Wildcats dropped to 5-4, and that's the first time that the Dominators have beaten the Wildcats in quite a while, as they had a three-game winning streak and had won four of the last five. But you can go ahead and put all that nonsense. Go ahead and throw that in the trash. Just like the Wildcats, you can go ahead and throw them in the trash too. But all seriousness, though, they need to get rolling. They've been losing a couple in a row, so they really need to get back on track. The second game you had the Demon Duck Lindsays. That's Greg at 437, moving to 6-3 over the Gatlinburg Knights at Scotty at 392. Scotty moves to 0-9, still searching and looking for that first W on the season. Just a little crazy, Dan. 448, the Atlanta Express. Ruben 596. The Express moving to 7-2. Dan dropping down to 5-4. What a big dominant win for the Express. Over 150 points against his opponent, Dan. A credible playoff team and a two-time champion of this league. So that's a really good win for the Express and pretty impressive fashion, I might add. The next game you had the Macon Chili Dogs. That's Ken, 520. He is on fire. His team is just caught fire. Then you had the Warner Robin Bombers. Jackson at 358. He falls to 2-7. So we had a big injury on Sunday. Ronald Acuna Jr. is gone with a torn ACL. The second time in the last 40 years that he's torn ACL. So Scotty had to make some moves to drop him. He had not been playing very well. I will add that on there. So we'll go ahead and look at week 10, look at the scores as of 9 p.m. You have the George Dominators, that's me, at 220 points. Over Ken, the Macon Chili Dogs, 191. This has been a good battle all week, and a playoff battle and seeding battle. You have the sibling rivalry between the Wildcats, that's Tammy at 241, and the Demon Ducks Lindsays, that's Greg at 257. Greg at 6-3, Tammy at 5-4. This is a big game for Tammy, especially with the playoff tiebreaker in that head to head. It would really be great, for her to get that W, to have two wins over Greg's team. And also, though, Greg is starting to kind of flex a muscle a little bit and is starting to get on fire just a little bit. Then you had just a little crazy 352 to the Gatlinburg Knights 196. Scotty going to 0-10. Dan moving to 6-4 with the win. This one's pretty much a laughter at this point. Dan jumped out to a big lead a couple of days ago and hasn't really looked back since then. And then you have the Atlanta Express, that's Ruben at 232. And you have the Warner Robin Bombers at 123. That is Jackson. So that's your look around last week, and then your look, right now snapshot of this week's games. So I got a couple of guests we'll go through. We'll keep it really short. We'll start off with Scotty. We'll give him a call and see what's going on.
Hello.
Hey, Scott. So
How's it going, Thomas?
it is going good, my friend. How's it going for you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Enjoying a nice evening.
Well, it's a nice, relaxful evening now. Um, so we pretty much ran down the scores. I went ahead and told everybody about Acuna being out. So how does that So how does that change your outlook on the year and your outlook for your team with Acuna being on the shelf?
Well, it just means we're just going to have other players step up, and we're just going to have to try to find a replacement for Acuna.
Yeah, well, that's pretty tough to do. I had to find a replacement for Strider, and still hadn't found one yet.
You're right. It's just going to be tough. It makes the season a little bit tougher.
Especially when you're searching for that first win. It's like now everything's falling against you. I mean, Dan took a big lead on you early in this weekend. I noticed you've been having a hard time trying to do something to get some kind of points. As I think he's got like a almost a 200 point lead on you now.
Right, and that's just the way it fell this week. He took off Monday. He took off, and almost all of he threw 3 or 4 starters, I think, and they just all 20, 30 points. Where mine was a little slow getting out of the gate, and everybody knows once you get a big monstrous lead like that, it's tough to come back.
Yeah, it is. This is what happened to me a couple times. Some opponents would get out to big dominant leads, and then you're hoping and praying that you're pitching. If you got four going at the end of the week, you're hoping and praying that they all get 30, 40 points. And when one of them sucks, that just pretty much takes you, pretty much right out of the ball game.
Mm-hmm. You're exactly right.
So let me ask you any thoughts around the league of what you think's going on with the Dominators picking up a much needed victory last week over their rivals.
I was very interested to see that. I personally was believing that the Wildcats were going to pull it out again because, the Wildcats, for some reason, the Wildcats have your Dominators number.
Yeah, I mean I'll agree with that.
But kudos to you to pull out the W and, keep yourself up there.
Right. How about the any surprise with your opponent last week, Greg, sitting at 6-3? It's like it's like Greg's got a good team and he's performing good, but it's like he's dodging that. You know, he's just able to get it done. He's not really throttling folks.
Oh, I agree. I agree 100%. I think it's just luck.
Well, that's what he said about the Wildcats' run early in the year, that it was a lot of luck.
Because as you've seen last week, I came close. I could have sworn last week was going to be the first W.
Well, it wasn't.
And then it came down to Sunday night. It came down to Saturday and Sunday, and he pulled a managering move where he pulled one of his starters and saved one extra for Sunday. And by the time I realized this, and I went in there to match him, it was too late. The game had started.
Too little, too little, too late. What do you think about the Express? Right now, they're at 7-2. It seems like the Express right now are. It seems like they are the top team in the league to beat.
The Express is a good team. They got a good general manager that runs it. He does pretty. He's been in the league for a couple of years now, and he's really showing that he can perform and he can fight and do. I think last year was a fluke year for him. He had a down year last year, and I think it was a fluke. And I think he's showing everybody right now that last year was just a fluke because he's come out swinging now since the Wildcats are coming back to earth and are being declawed every week.
Right. Yep.
He's showing what he can do.
They are being declawed every week, and it's like I said repeatedly the first 4 weeks of the year when the Wildcats were on a roll. I kept saying the same question: how are they going to improve their team when they have to? And um, so far, the Wildcats have not really answered my question. That's why they're continuing. No disrespect to them because they are still a very fierce opponent. Right now they're giving the Demon Ducks a run for his money after her team did defeat Greg's by over 100 the last time they played. And but right now though it looks like Greg is not really in control, but it looks like Greg's in an okay path to beating the Wildcats and sending the Wildcats down to 5-5. Um, so far, looking at this week's games, you've got the Dominators at 220. You've got Ken at 191. This has really been an interesting battle all week. Both of us are at the same amount of pitchers. Um, this is going to be interesting. Last time it came down to like 40 points, I think. And then you've got the Ducks that we just mentioned with the Wildcats, and then we got your game that's just a joke. And then we've got the Express over Jackson by around 100 points. Um, I mean, I think it's certainly interesting. I don't think your win's gonna come this week. I mean, that would be a really big shocker. Hopefully, you can get that win though next week against Jack. I think you're playing Jackson next week.
Well, hopefully, I think the main goal right now in the ninth camp is we're looking at, you know, as the old saying goes, the first one's the hardest one, but once you
Yeah,
get that first victory, they start rolling.
that they do. Well, we'll end it. We'll end it right there on a good note, Scott. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us on the Bullpen Show.
I appreciate it, buddy. I enjoy it every time.
Thank you.
You're welcome, buddy.
So we just heard from Scott, the GM of the 0-9 Gatlinburg Knights. So I'm really pulling for his team to get a win. I mean, he's a really good manager. He's just had a lot of bad luck, to be honest with you. And it's like Greg and everybody else has said back in the pre-draft special. And I hate to keep going back there to that pre-draft special and the draft show, but it's so crucial. You got to have luck in this game. Um, you do have to have luck. You do have to have skill and know what you're doing. But it's a lot of luck. You can have all the skill that you want to have, and Scott has been in the playoffs before, so he does have skill on how to play this game. But you can play this game and think you have everything figured out, and then all of a sudden, on a snap of the finger, boom, you got two or three players going down that are crucial that pretty much just take you right out of the ball game. I mean, you really got to have luck and you got to know what you're doing. So, with that being said, we'll give a quick call to Greg Lindsay, see what's going on with him and his team.
Hello?
Hello, Greg. Welcome to the Bullpen Show, my friend.
Who's this?
I,
Yes.
I think you know who this is.
Is this
So,
the 5-4 team?
well, you're fixing to be down there with another loss.
7-3, sir.
We'll have to see about that. So, any thoughts on this week? As we'll keep this real quick. Any thoughts on what happened last week and what's transpiring this week?
Last week was a tough fought victory, and this week, yeah, I'm struggling this week with some injuries. Some of my starting pitchers, like today, only threw 6 pitches.
Well, I mean that's the life. I mean that's the path that we chose to play this. Play this game. Injuries happen. I
That's
just
it.
got done talking about luck. That you can be the most skilled player, a skilled manager, but you still gotta have some good luck in this business.
That's correct.
As I've had like four players go down, season-ending injuries, and I mean, you got to move on and find different options. But
That's it.
sometimes, honestly, sometimes there's just nothing out there.
That's what I'm running into right now with
There,
some middle infielders.
there's really not. I mean, sometimes there's just nothing out there worth taking a flyer on.
That'd be correct.
Any let's see, you're up by 16 as of 9 p.m. over the Wildcats. Any thought on the Dominators up by 30 so far over Ken?
Uh, I hadn't really paid attention too much to it, but that's a pretty good lead considering how Ken's been doing 5 straight wins.
I'm fortunate. I mean, I'm hoping to pull off another W this week. I've got the Express looming next week. I'm gonna have to take him to school again.
Yeah, that'll
Uh,
be 2 in a row, won't it?
that'll be no, that'll be like five in a row over him.
Oh, oh, I'm sorry.
That'll be five. Once I beat him next week, that'll be five in a row.
Uh-huh.
So far, you're like we had said, you're up by 16. Dan's up by over 150 on the Knights. That's pretty much the laughter.
Yep,
Um,
that's over.
Acuna going out.
That
Um,
hurts.
yeah, that's terrible for Scotty's
And then
team.
the Braves just lost another pitcher too, so
I
I think the
mean,
reliever went out.
and that's another injury update. AJ Minner. Yep, with a
Yep.
something's going on with his hip.
Yeah.
All
So
right, Greg. So we'll go ahead and do this part since there wasn't no baseball now on Monday. We'll go ahead and put the Week 10 power rankings. Go ahead and reveal them
okay.
while we've got you on the phone. Number one this week again, the Atlanta Express at 7-2. Number two, the Macon Chili Dogs at 6-3. Number three, your team, the Demon Duck Lindsay's at 6-3. Number four, just a little crazy Dan at 5-4. Five, you've got the Georgia Dominators at 5-4. Six, you've got the Wildcats at 5-4. Seven, you've got the Bombers at 2-7. And at number eight, in his familiar role, Scotty with the Gatlinburg Knights at 0-9. So pretty much, folks, what was used on this one, this hadn't changed. This was prepared on Monday. So it does not reflect anything that's going on this week. What the bottom line was on this ranking was pretty much the same as last week. Head to head, points for, and the eye test. Who's hot and who's not. That's mainly the reason why right now you've got the Chili Dogs at number two because they're on a roll right now, and I think they're worthy of number two
Yep. I
until
agree.
they get beat this week by me, by the Dominators, then they'll come on back down. Um, what's your any thoughts on those rankings that just got revealed hot off the presses?
Yeah. I mean, they pretty much staying about par, subpar for the round. I mean, they're about like you say. I mean, till he loses again, he ain't gonna come off to number one. And Ken's the hottest team in the league right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the Express is the best team in the league, and I think Ken is the hottest team in the league.
I think the Express is running on that broomstick that the Cats had there for the beginning of the
Didn't
season.
didn't the Express beat you by 80?
Yes, they did
I
on the
thought
last
so.
day. That's correct.
I
I was ahead
I
going into
thought
the
so,
last day.
but that was still a loss though.
And that's correct, it was.
That's what I thought. I'm the only team, only with another team that's beat him, and I beat him by over 80.
How many times have you beat him this year? Once?
I beat him once. It'll be a second time next week.
Uh-huh. Have you lost 2 times to anybody this year?
Mm, no, I don't think I have.
Oh, you don't remember the Ducks, do you?
I only remember teams that are relevant.
Oh, is that a fact?
I remember teams that are relevant and teams that are a factor.
Uh-huh.
And
Well,
as Scotty just said, he does not believe your team. He believes you're riding a fluke.
is that a fact? I'm
And
riding the fluke.
I asked him how you could think that after I mean we both agreed though that you're winning these games, but you're not blowing folks away.
Nope,
Is
I
that
agree. No
is that
blowout.
kind of does that kind of concern you a little bit?
It could at the end of the year if it comes down for the points. But I believe I'm in third right now, points or fourth, third or fourth.
I mean that's not too bad of a spot. Well,
No.
Greg, I appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
Yep. Thank you.
Great to have you on. Have a great night.
Good to be here. All right. You have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
That was Greg Lindsay with the Demon Duck Lindsay's. So there you have it, folks. That's all the time that we've got for the Bullpen Show this week. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you next time here on the Bullpen Show.
This has been a production of Cash and Sports, a division of East Tennessee Media.